Hello everyone. In this video I will show you administrative console for the WebSphere application server. So to launch the console, first let's start the application server. So cd to application server profile bin directory and check the status of application server. So here the server name is appsrv1. The application server appsrv1 cannot be reached. It appears to be stopped. So let's start the application server. After starting the application server, now let's find out the admin host port number for this application server. So you can find this information from profile properties directory. So here cat port dev.props. So this application server is unsecured. So you have to use admin host port number, which is 10,001. So let's launch the console. Open the browser. Run http colon slash 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 ibm slash console. So you can log in with any account. So this is unsecured console. So here, this is a welcome screen. Okay, and here is a navigation panel, and here is about this integration console. And this console is for WebSphere application server 7.0.0.0 version. Okay, so here in this left side you see all the navigation panel, like you have guidelines, activities, servers, applications, services, resources, security, environment, system administration, users and groups, monitoring, tuning, troubleshooting, service integration, UDDI. So here this information basically provide, let's say if you want to know how to connect to the database or routing requests through web server to your application server. So if you want to know about particular topic, you can click on these topics. Normally we don't use this guidelines activity. So let's start with servers. So here under the servers, so you have a different types of servers here. You can see it: WebSphere application server, WebSphere MQ server, web server. So when you click on WebSphere application server, so you see the same server that we just started before launching the application server console. So this is a server name appsrv1, and here is the node name of that application server, and the host name is this, and the version is 7.0.0. And here you can if you want to configure WebSphere MQ server, you can configure from here, and to configure the web server, you can configure the web server from here by clicking on new and provide required information to configure the web server. So the next thing is applications. If you want to deploy new applications, you can click on new application and choose which type of application you want to deploy. And you can also find the application types here: WebSphere Enterprise Application, Business Level Application, Assets. So when you click on WebSphere Enterprise Applications, by default there are few applications already installed and running, and you can start, stop, install, uninstall, update, rollout, update, remove file, export DDL, export file. So you can do all these kind of activities with the application. Okay, so you can start and stop the applications. You can install and update the applications. You can roll out the update. So you can remove a file from the applications. You can export the application. You can see what is the you can export the DDL file from the application, and you can export particular file from the application. So here we have another kind of applications, like business level kind of applications, assets applications. So most of the time, if your client is like enterprise based client, then most of the time you go and deploy the enterprise based applications. So here is the services. So you can see service providers, service clients, policy sets, trust services. So application policy sets. If you want to set up any policy sets, you can configure from here. So here are the service providers. So if you want to configure any services, you can configure from there. And resources, so here you can configure JMS resources, Java Messaging Service, JDBC. If you want to configure the database, you configure from here. So you create the JDBC providers, you create the data sources and data source information you can provide here and configure the database from here. If you want to configure the any JMS providers, you can configure from here. So this is basically resource configuration. So if you want to configure any type of resources, you can configure from here. The next one is security. To configure the security, global security, or if you want to apply any SSL certificates, you can do from here. Environment, you can see various virtual hosts. That is by default it's gonna show you admin host, default hosts. You can also create new virtual host here and add the port number to these virtual hosts. So when you click on admin host, you will see the list of ports that for admin ports, right? So here one is unsecured port and another one is a secure port. So like this, you can add more virtual host here and add ports to it. And if you want to change any variables, installation variables for your resources or the paths, if you want to change it, you can change it from here. But you can also find the paths for each directory. So there are like resources or variables for each path set set in this WebSphere variables location. So you can see here shared libraries, replication domains from here, and naming. You can configure if you want to configure namespace bindings, these kind of information you can do it from here. Mostly, right? So we work on virtual hosts, WebSphere and WebSphere variables, and update global web server plugin configuration in this environment section. So the system administration, so whenever you make any changes from the console, you can always go and save the configuration or save the changes to the master repository. That's gonna update the required the important configuration files. So you can also change the console preferences. Let's say if you want to if you required assistance for uh, command assistance notification and log command assistant commands. So you can, if you want to specify or modify anything, you can add the console preferences here. So you can click on apply, so that your preferences has been now changed. So console identity, so here if you want to change any user identities for a particular console, you can change it from here. So mostly we use it here, console preferences, and so whenever you modify anything or configure any resources or security, you go here, save changes to master repository and save it. So users and groups, so once the security applied, so you can manage the users, like you can add new users to the user roles. You can add users and set up the roles for each individual users. You can also create the groups and set up the groups roles for each group from here. And if to monitor the WebSphere application server, you can monitor from here using Tivoli performance here. So here we have only one application server. It is a standalone application server. You can monitor from here. You can just click on start monitoring. So it will start monitoring your application server. You can also view the logs. Let's say if you want to specifically view any log file, you can view it from here. So here is the performance monitoring infrastructure for a ABPS v1. So next is a troubleshooting. So if you want to look up the logs for individual application server profile, you can directly click on this logs and trace, click on app server, and here is a list of different types of logs. So if you want to look at the JVM logs, you can view it from here. You can click on run and you can view what is system.out.log file is showing here, and you can also graph or retrieve lines between the lines, okay, the data between the logs between the lines here. And there are like you can also set up any configuration problems if you want to set up validation, anything required for maximum, high, medium, you can update here. So like this, you can also enable some configuration validation, runtime messages, diagnostic providers. You can do it from here. So the next one is a service integration bus. Let's say if you want to create any service integration bus for supported applications, you can configure from here. Like that, you can also configure web services and WebSphere notifications here. And finally, UDDI. So it's just about UDDI information. So we don't work on this much. So the important navigation panels you will need to remember here is servers, applications, resources, security, right? So then environments, system administration, users and group monitoring and tuning, troubleshooting. So they are the very important navigations you mostly work in a day-to-day activity. So that's all about the WebSphere application server console. Thanks.